When people talk about Sean Diddy Combs, they usually start with music, fashion, or business. But the real story isn't just how much money he made, it's how that money was transformed into power, privacy, and control. At a certain level of wealth, luxury stops being about enjoyment and starts becoming about infrastructure. The things you own begin to shape the world around you. Diddy's possessions aren't random splurges or flashy purchases meant only to impress. They are carefully chosen assets that reinforce status, mobility, and influence. Each item, whether visible or hidden, serves a purpose beyond price. These are not things you buy because they're expensive. They're expensive because only a handful of people can even access them. This isn't a list of toys. It's a look inside an ecosystem built by extreme wealth where jewelry becomes branding, vehicles become systems, homes become controlled environments, and privacy itself becomes the ultimate luxury. Custom jewelry. Diddy's jewelry collection isn't about trends. It's about permanence. His most recognizable chains, including the iconic Bad Boy Records pendant, were custom designed as one-of-one pieces. These aren't items pulled from a display case. They are commissioned artifacts created to symbolize ownership, legacy, and dominance within the industry. The sheer weight of these pieces tells its own story. Massive Cuban links, diamond-heavy pendants, and layered chains built with stones that are often flawless and custom-cut. At this level, the cost isn't just in materials, it's in exclusivity. No duplicates, no replicas. Once it's made, it belongs to him alone. Add to that a watch collection filled with high-end timepieces like Richard Mille, Audemar's Piguet, and custom diamond-encrusted Rolex models. These watches aren't worn to tell time. They are worn to signal that time itself isn't a constraint. Altogether, Diddy's publicly seen jewelry and watches alone easily reach into the tens of millions. A car collection built like a fleet. Diddy doesn't own cars the way most collectors do. His vehicles operate like a rotating fleet spread across multiple locations. Cars move between properties, appear briefly, disappear, and are replaced without fanfare. Transportation at this level isn't about preference, it's about readiness. Rolls-Royce forms the backbone of that fleet. Multiple Phantoms, often bespoke, featuring hand-installed starlight headliners and custom interiors that resemble fine art more than automobiles. The Phantom Drophead Coupe adds yacht-style teak decking, blurring the line between land and sea luxury. Then there's the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, an ultra-luxury SUV equipped with road-scanning suspension and rear-hinge doors designed to make entering feel ceremonial. Alongside that are Maybach sedans built explicitly for rear-seat living, Ferraris and Lamborghinis for spectacle, vintage classics like a 1958 Corvette, and armored, customized Escalades for low-profile movement. When you include vehicles purchased as gifts for family, the total value of his automotive footprint pushes well past $40 million. Private jets. Relocation, not travel. Flying commercials isn't inconvenient at Diddy's level. It's impossible. His private jet isn't designed like a plane. It's designed like a moving compound. Instead of rows of seats, the interior is divided into zones, each built for a specific function. There are lounge areas styled like luxury hotel spaces, with custom lighting, deep sound insulation, and plush seating. Further inside, private rooms replace traditional cabins. A real bedroom with a full-size bed makes long flights routine rather than exhausting. High-end jets like this often include entertainment spaces designed purely for atmosphere mood lighting, premium sound systems, mirrored surfaces, and layouts that make the destination feel secondary. Add onboard staff quarters, gourmet catering capability, and private bathrooms that rival five-star suites. Once customization is factored in, a jet like this can easily exceed $60 million. More importantly, it offers complete control over time, space, and access. Mansions as controlled environments. Diddy's real estate portfolio spans cities like Miami, Los Angeles, and New York, but these aren't just homes. They're environments designed for privacy and separation. Waterfront estates, gated compounds, long driveways, and layouts engineered to minimize visibility. Inside, these properties are built to host without exposure. Oversized rooms, multiple entertainment zones, and areas dedicated specifically to sound, lighting, and atmosphere. At night, these spaces don't feel residential, they feel operational. What separates these estates from typical celebrity mansions is structure. Suites function more like hotel rooms than bedrooms. Lighting systems can shift the mood instantly. Security is integrated into architecture itself. Yachts. For ultra-wealthy individuals, yachts represent the highest tier of privacy, and Diddy has long been associated with that world. Rather than owning a single publicly registered vessel, he has been repeatedly linked to long-term charters and exclusive access to ultra-luxury yachts in the 60 to 90-meter range. Vessels that cost tens of millions to purchase and hundreds of thousands per week to operate. These yachts are often reserved so consistently that they function as personal assets without the visibility or liabilities of formal ownership. In that tier of wealth, flexibility matters more than paperwork. These aren't boats. They are floating estates engineered for isolation. Expansive open-air decks are designed like private resorts, complete with shaded lounges, dining areas, pools, and sunbeds arranged to keep guests separated when needed. Inside, The main salons resemble five-star hotel lobbies, with floor-to-ceiling windows, custom furniture secured for stability, and sound systems tuned to contain music and conversation within specific zones. Guest cabins function as full suites, featuring king-size beds, private bathrooms, climate control, and soundproofing so complete that presence feels permanent, not temporary. Private studios and creative infrastructure. Diddy didn't rely on rented studio time. He built private recording environments engineered from the ground up. Acoustic design alone costs millions before equipment is added. Inside are vintage analog consoles, rare compressors, and hardware that modern studios no longer use because it's too expensive and fragile. Attached listening rooms are tuned so precisely that music sounds different there than anywhere else. When decisions are made in these rooms, they aren't influenced by outside ears or opinions. This is control over creative output at the highest level: art, archives, and invisible assets. High-end art collecting isn't decoration, it's value storage. Diddy has been linked to museum-grade contemporary art kept in private, climate-controlled spaces. Pieces like these aren't shown publicly. They exist to signal status among other collectors. Alongside the art is something even more personal: a fashion archive. Decades of custom garments, rare vintage pieces, and one-of-one designs preserved like museum artifacts. At this level, fashion becomes historical ownership, not expression. Then there are the unseen assets: private contracts, businesses, media ventures, and brand extensions that quietly shape environments. These aren't flexes, they're levers. Security as a system. Security at this level isn't something you notice. It's something designed to disappear into the background. Ultra-wealthy individuals don't rely on visible guards or simple alarm systems. Instead, they operate layered security frameworks that combine rotating professional personnel, continuous surveillance coverage, biometric access controls, and restricted movement zones. Every entrance, corridor, and perimeter is planned so access is tracked, limited, and logged. The goal isn't to respond to threats. It's to make sure threats never reach the point where a response is needed. Technology and human expertise work together as a single system. Surveillance networks run around the clock, supported by advanced analytics that detect unusual movement or behavioral patterns. At the same time, trained security teams, often with backgrounds in military or executive protection, manage transport routes, coordinate arrivals and departures, and conduct counter-surveillance to identify risks before they become visible. Movement is controlled not just at properties, but across vehicles, schedules, and transitions, ensuring there are no predictable patterns to exploit. The true cost of extreme wealth. When you step back, a pattern emerges. The jewelry represents identity, the cars represent mobility, the jets represent control over space, the mansions represent access, the yachts represent isolation. At this level, wealth isn't about owning expensive things. It's about owning systems that shape reality. Systems where rules feel flexible, access is curated, and accountability feels distant. The most expensive thing Diddy ever owned wasn't a jet, a mansion, or a yacht. It was the ability to build worlds where his version of reality could exist uninterrupted. And that kind of ownership doesn't show up on balance sheets, but it's always the first thing people notice when it starts to disappear. So here's the real question. When wealth reaches this scale, does it protect freedom, or does it quietly remove limits? Does extreme wealth actually change a person, or does it simply give them the space to become who they always were? If this perspective challenges how you see luxury and power, leave your thoughts in the comments, like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more deep dives